How many times have you felt that inner voice whispering doubts, undermining your confidence, and turning small challenges into mountains? Insecurity, silent and persistent, is a companion that insists on following us. And even when everything seems to be in order, it emerges to question whether we're good enough, whether we have control, whether we're truly ready. It's precisely in this space of uncertainty that many people get lost, fueling anxieties that drain energy and steal peace. But what if I told you there's an ancient, centuries-tested path capable of transforming this weakness into strength? Stoicism, combined with principles like simplicity, minimalism, and self-discipline, can be the key to building unshakable, rock-solid confidence amidst chaos. This guide doesn't promise to eliminate life's problems. That would be wishful thinking, but it offers a way to face them with focus, resilience, and ancient wisdom. Here, you'll discover how to cultivate inner security, using self-control as a shield and gratitude as a beacon. In the end, insecurity doesn't disappear. It becomes fuel to build your own inner strength. The secret to a calm life and the philosophy of Stoicism. We've all longed for a calmer life, far from the turmoil of everyday life, haven't we? But hoping for a world without problems is like waiting for rain without clouds. The secret isn't eliminating challenges, but creating a safe haven within yourself, a stability comparable to that of a firm rock before a storm. This is where Stoicism comes in, a practical philosophy that teaches you how to find inner strength, self-control, and resilience amidst chaos. Imagine facing difficulties not as enemies, but as tests of ancient wisdom that reveal your true capacity to face the unexpected. This isn't utopia, but a daily practice, accessible to anyone. Modern Stoicism doesn't ask you to escape the world, nor to become cold or indifferent. On the contrary, it invites you to accept reality as it is, recognizing that we won't always have control over events, but we can always choose our responses. This acceptance, far from being resignation, is a source of power. It transforms insecurity into focus, anxiety into discipline, and fear into courage. Want a practical example? Consider Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, who, even in the face of wars and plagues, found serenity by writing his reflections in meditations. If he managed to remain calm in the face of such responsibility, why couldn't we apply some of that strength to our daily lives? Letting go and simplicity. The first step to living more peacefully is learning to let go. It sounds simple, but in practice it requires courage. Many of us waste energy trying to control the uncontrollable. Other people's opinions, unexpected circumstances, even our own destiny. Stoicism teaches that the key is to focus on what's within our reach. Our thoughts, our choices, and our actions. When we stop clinging to what's beyond our control, life becomes lighter. Insecurity, which arises precisely from trying to control the uncontrollable, begins to fade. It's like dropping a heavy backpack after a long hike, an immediate relief. This liberation is directly linked to simplicity. It's not just about living in a home without excess or adopting minimalism as an aesthetic, but about reducing mental and emotional noise. Imagine someone who spends their day chasing recognition, consuming things they don't need, and carrying unnecessary guilt. The result is exhaustion and emptiness. Now, compare that to someone who lives according to Stoic simplicity, focusing on the essential, gratitude for what they already have, and detachment from the superfluous. Life doesn't have to be a race. It can be a steady walk with less weight and more clarity. This is the first step to creating space within yourself and paving the way for self-discipline and unshakable strength. Self-discipline and unwavering strength. If there's one pillar that supports Stoicism, it's self-discipline. We're not talking about rigid, lifeless control, but the ability to direct your energy toward what truly matters. Think of self-discipline as a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. Small daily habits, like waking up on time, setting aside time to read ancient wisdom, or even avoiding unnecessary distractions, shape character. This consistent practice is what transforms insecurity into confidence. As you begin to trust yourself, your ability to stay focused, and act according to your principles, rather than being swept away by the whims of the world. By developing this inner strength, you become unbreakable in the face of adversity. Not because problems disappear, but because you learn to face them with resilience and clarity. It's like a tree with deep roots. It can sway in the wind, but it doesn't fall. Self-discipline creates a mental model that protects against external instability and the internal impulses that so often sabotage our progress. Want to start today? Choose a simple practice like meditating for 5 minutes, writing down your daily goals, or even reducing your social media consumption. The secret lies in consistency. This discipline is the path to true freedom, living not as a hostage to fleeting desires, but guided by virtue and self-control. 10 Principles for Life Lessons from Stoicism. Stoicism offers a true life manual, a set of principles that serve as a map for those who wish to walk firmly even on unstable ground. There are 10 essential lessons that can free anyone from the limitations imposed by their own mind. Among them are distinguishing what can be controlled from what cannot, cultivating gratitude even on difficult days, practicing detachment from what is not essential, and maintaining rationality in the face of intense emotions. These practices are not just pretty ideas on paper. They transform insecurity into fertile ground for personal growth. Each principle is like a tool that helps build a life of focus, simplicity, and virtue. By applying them, you discover that you don't need to be immune to suffering to be strong. The secret lies in taking command of what's inside you, your thoughts, your actions, and your choices. Imagine each principle as a shield against external turbulence, a reminder that inner peace doesn't depend on what's happening outside, but on what you choose to nurture within. For example, instead of getting frustrated with traffic, you can use this moment to reflect, listen to a good podcast about ancient wisdom, or simply practice patience. These small daily adjustments, when aligned with Stoic principles, create a resilient mind and a peaceful heart, ready for the next challenge. The philosophy of simplicity and minimalism. Living simply doesn't mean giving up comfort or living in scarcity. It actually means making smart, conscious choices. Simplicity is a kind of filter that separates the essential from the superfluous, allowing you to direct your energy toward what truly matters. How often do we accumulate unnecessary objects, commitments, and even thoughts that only increase our insecurity and drain our focus? Minimalism, in this sense, is an invitation to reduce weight, both physical and mental. When you keep only what matters, there's room for clarity, gratitude, and even joy in small things, like a hot coffee or a good book. This lifestyle is also an act of resistance to modern consumerism, which insists on selling the idea that being depends on having. Stoicism and minimalism, when practiced together, remind us that true wealth lies not in possessions, but in inner freedom. Imagine what it would be like to wake up without that feeling of constantly chasing something that never arrives. By simplifying your routine, whether by reducing notifications on your phone, organizing your workspace, or saying no to empty commitments, you gain time, energy, and focus. This conscious choice is a powerful step toward resilience and detachment, paving the way for a lighter, more meaningful life. Stoicism and minimalism, two sides of the same coin. If we look closely, we'll see that Stoicism and minimalism go hand in hand, like two sides of the same coin. While minimalism focuses on cutting out material excesses, Stoicism deals with mental and emotional excesses. Together, they form a powerful duo for confronting the insecurity that often stems from comparison, purposeless consumption, and attachment to what's beyond our reach. Living simply isn't just about emptying the drawer, it's also about clearing the mind of useless worries. This creates an internal space for focus, acceptance, and cultivating the inner strength needed to face daily challenges. Both paths offer freedom. Minimalism shows that we don't need more things to be complete, while Stoicism teaches that we don't need to control the world to find peace. This combination creates a purposeful lifestyle. Fewer distractions, more clarity, less weight, more resilience. Want a practical example? Try applying minimalism to your wardrobe and Stoicism to your thoughts. The result? You save time choosing clothes and, at the same time, learn not to waste energy on useless worries. This material and mental detachment is what makes room for virtue, gratitude, and a life guided by ancient wisdom, rather than the noise of the modern world. The wisdom of the ancients, foundations of Stoicism. To understand the power of Stoicism, one must take a step back and walk through the streets of ancient Athens, where Zeno of Citium laid the foundations of this philosophy. He and his successors, such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, realized that true happiness does not depend on external circumstances, but on the ability to keep the mind aligned with virtue and rationality. This ancient vision remains an antidote to modern insecurity. The Stoics advocated that life should be lived in harmony with nature, accepting the seasons of fate as naturally as we accept the rising and setting of the sun. This acceptance is not passivity, but rather an exercise in inner strength and self-control in the face of the inevitable. The teachings of these philosophers remind us that we are free to choose how we react, even when we cannot choose what happens to us. Seneca said that we suffer more in our imagination than in reality, a reminder that many of our fears are manufactured by the mind. Epictetus reinforced that freedom begins when we distinguish what is within our power from what is beyond it. Marcus Aurelius, in turn, demonstrated in practice that even an emperor can be humble, grateful, and resilient. This ancient wisdom, imbued with simplicity and focus, remains relevant because it touches on something universal: the desire to live with purpose, detachment, and tranquility in the face of life's uncertainties. The relevance of Stoicism today. At first glance, it may seem strange to apply 2,000-year-old teachings to the 21st century, but Stoicism has never been more relevant. We live in an age of information overload, social pressures, and constant insecurity. Whether at work, in relationships, or even on social media, it is in this chaotic landscape that Stoicism shines, offering simple and practical tools to cultivate resilience, focus, and acceptance. Many of the techniques used today in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, were directly inspired by Stoic teachings, especially the idea that it's not events that disturb us, but how we interpret them. This insight has already transformed patients' lives, and it can transform yours too. Beyond the field of psychology, Stoicism even influences corporate leadership. Leaders who rely on discipline, self-control, and rationality are able to make wiser decisions and handle crises without giving in to panic. Consider, for example, a manager who practices detachment from external expectations and focuses only on what they can control: their posture, their actions, and their ethics. They exude confidence, even when everything around them seems to be falling apart. And the same goes for anyone. Applying Stoic principles in everyday life is like carrying a reliable map through unpredictable territory. Whether you're in a boardroom or facing personal challenges, this philosophy remains a timeless guide for living with virtue, gratitude, and inner strength. The virtuous path of Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor. Marcus Aurelius is a living example that inner strength and resilience can flourish even amidst enormous challenges. As emperor, he faced wars, political crises, and the Antonine Plague, but never let external chaos define his serenity. His meditations reveal a disciplined mind and a heart centered on virtue, teaching that true leadership begins with self-control and detachment from futile desires. He shows us that personal confidence is not born from praise or external achievements, but from a constant commitment to solid principles, self-discipline, and rationality, pillars that transform insecurity into inner strength. Marcus Aurelius also reminds us that every obstacle is an opportunity for growth. When we encounter frustrations or setbacks, we can choose to react with patience and reflection or with anger and despair. He chose the former, practicing compassion, gratitude, and acceptance in every decision. His teachings show that, even in the face of inevitable suffering, it is possible to maintain mental clarity and emotional balance. Applying his lessons today means cultivating habits that strengthen focus, resilience, and self-discipline. Meditating daily, reflecting on one's actions, and practicing virtue in small, everyday choices. In this way, insecurity ceases to be a constant shadow and becomes an opportunity for personal transformation. The wisdom of Epictetus, the slave who became a philosopher. Epictetus' story is proof that true freedom arises within us, regardless of external circumstances. He began as a slave but found in philosophy a path to self-discipline, virtue, and inner strength. His most famous work, the Enchiridion, the Handbook, is a practical guide that teaches us how to distinguish between what we can and cannot control, how to accept our fate, and how to cultivate resilience in the face of adversity. For Epictetus, insecurity and fear are not eliminable, but they can be transformed into tools for growth as we learn to control our responses and live with rationality and serenity. His lessons aren't just theoretical. He encourages us to put Stoicism into practice every day, from simple decisions to moments of intense pressure. For example, instead of despairing over criticism or unexpected events, we can reflect, is this under my control or not? If it isn't, we free ourselves from the burden of worry. If it is, we apply self-control and discernment. This constant practice strengthens inner strength and self-discipline, transforming insecurity into solid self-confidence. And most fascinatingly, Epictetus' principles, though ancient, serve as maps for dealing with modern dilemmas, allowing anyone to build a life guided by virtue, focus, and simplicity. Lessons from Marcus Aurelius for resilience and inner strength. Marcus Aurelius left us a legacy of insights on how to transform challenges into opportunities for personal growth. Among his most powerful lessons is his teaching us to control our perception. It's not the events themselves that disturb us, but how we interpret them. Living in the present without getting lost in regrets about the past or anxieties about the future is an essential practice for strengthening inner strength and resilience. Humility and compassion, according to him, are virtues that balance self-control, reminding us that our personal security depends not on superiority over others, but on mastery over ourselves. Another valuable practice is to express gratitude regularly, even in the face of difficulties. Marcus Aurelius suggested reflecting on each obstacle as an opportunity to exercise patience, courage, and discipline. This approach transforms insecurity into learning, fear into self-confidence, and stress into clarity. He also emphasized that rationality should guide decisions, not uncontrolled emotions. Applying these lessons to your daily life can be simple. Meditating on your thoughts before reacting, writing reflections on challenges faced, or practicing small acts of kindness and self-care. In this way, each step becomes training for a more centered, resilient, and purposeful life. The wisdom of the East and the lessons shared. When we look at Eastern philosophical traditions, we notice that many ideas converge with Stoicism and minimalism. Buddhism, for example, teaches us about detachment and the middle way, showing that happiness does not lie in clinging to fleeting desires. Taoism, with its concept of Wu Wei, reinforces simplicity and action in harmony with nature. Hinduism inspires us with Dharma and detachment, reminding us that fulfilling our duties with discipline and serenity is essential for a balanced life. Even Confucianism, with its emphasis on moderation and virtues, reflects the pursuit of ethical and rational behavior. These traditions, though distant in time and space, share a central goal: to live a meaningful, virtuous life free from the constraints of excess, whether material or emotional. For those seeking to strengthen inner strength, these philosophies offer practical exercises such as meditation, self-reflection, and a focus on virtue. By integrating these lessons with Stoic and minimalist principles, a universal path of inner security and self-mastery is created. It is a journey of self-knowledge, gratitude, and resilience, which teaches us to transform insecurity into confidence and find purpose even in the small details of everyday life. We've reached the end of this journey, but the real work begins now, in your daily life. What will you do with the lessons of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and the Eastern sages we've discovered? Will you allow insecurity to continue guiding your decisions, or will you transform these teachings into inner strength, focus, and self-discipline? Every obstacle, every uncomfortable situation is an opportunity to practice virtue, detachment, and rationality. Try observing your thoughts before reacting, simplifying your routine, or expressing gratitude daily. Small actions that build unshakable confidence. What if you could, every day, become a little more stoic, a little more resilient, and more centered in your own strength? Ask yourself, Am I allowing external factors to dictate my peace, or am I cultivating my inner security? Transform each challenge into a learning experience, each criticism into reflection, and each decision into a step toward emotional autonomy. If you like these ideas, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to follow more content that helps you build a life of purpose, simplicity, and rock-solid confidence.